interested in the behavior aspect of dogs and understanding psychology and kind of getting back to my roots. So I've sort of gone a full circle here in my experience with Ridgebacks, and I started doing a lot of agility training, and make a long story short, I now have an agility school, and I do still have Ridgebacks, and I do agility with my Ridgebacks, but I also have a Border Collie that I imported from Scotland. It's a strictly a herding bred dog. That means they really didn't take conformation into consideration when they bred the dog. And then I also have two Shelties that I show in agility as well, and about 55 agility students. So anyway, enough of that, but kind of to give you a background of where I'm coming from. I want to first just sort of bring up this whole idea of our breed standard. Let's talk a little bit about what the Ridgeback was originally bred to do. Now we can argue, some people say that the people in South Africa did not use the dogs on horseback, that they only used the dogs to hunt while the hunters were on foot, that kind of thing. I'm not going to get into that kind of debate. I mean, I think we all agree that they were bred to be a utilitarian dog. I think we'll all agree that the conditions in South Africa at the time that the breed was developed they were very harsh conditions. And so a utilitarian type dog was a necessity. If you're living out on a 100 square mile ranch in the middle of South Africa, and you're European and you're trying to eat by your living, you really don't have time to be concerned whether or not your dog is a Wheaten or a red Wheaten or a light Wheaten. You know, it's not something that a person of that mindset would really be concerned about. Their number one thing, and I will say that I have been around ranchers, and I know their mindset, and their feeling is if the dog doesn't work, they get rid of it. You know, a lot of times they just take them out and they'll shoot them. I know that sounds probably pretty foreign to the way we feel about Ridgebacks, but I'm just telling you what the way the mindset they have and where they're coming from. They can't afford to keep dogs that are not going to be willing to work. So I think as far as the standard is concerned, we developed the standard with an idea about what the dog might be able to do. We came up with the idea of the laid back shoulders and certain type of rear ambulation, and a nice flat steady top line. And the only thing I would like to have you maybe think a little bit about, and to kind of have you see from a different viewpoint, is that we're really putting the cart before the horse. And what the working dog world is doing, and I'm not suggesting that none of you people have any experience with the working dog world, probably some of you do, but I think most of us, at least that I'm familiar with here in the U.S., are primarily breeding for dogs that will win in the show ring. And so what I want you to think about a little bit is this whole idea of breeding dogs that do the job. And if you'll notice, I'm going to show you a series of photographs here. If you'll notice, a lot of what we would consider working type dogs, they look like this. Now, this isn't what aesthetically you would consider a pretty dog, okay? But if you if you think outside the box, and if you see the way a lot of these working dog people do, when this dog gets together in a group and brings down an animal that is 4 times its size, it's a beautiful sight to behold. So, so I just want you to, let's look at some more photographs here. Now, these are wild dogs in South Africa, and something that's interesting, I think, about the wild dogs is you'll find that the larger the difference in the ratio between a prey dog and a predator, or a predator, and its prey. For instance, the great white shark. The great white shark, its body ratio size to its prey, which is primarily seals, small animals, is very very, very great. And so they do not have to hunt cooperatively. They hunt independently. But when you get where the body ratio between the prey and the predator becomes greater, such as in the wild dog, where the prey animals are much, much larger than the dog themselves, the need for the dog to cooperate as a group in terms of a pack dynamic becomes much, much more important. And I think one of the things that we neglect in our Ridgebacks is this whole idea of breeding dogs with a work ethic and dogs that are willing to work as a pack. Lions are a great example of that. They're pack hunters. They're bringing down very, very large prey. And in order to do that, they've got to work together. They've got to cooperate. Okay, here's a dingo. Once again, do we see, the lovely laid-back shoulders? Do we see the long upper arm, the deep chest, the short loin? And, the thing is, no matter how great your accolades are, no matter how many champions you've bred, best in show, whatever, I just don't think that you can tell me or tell anybody else that you can breed better than Mother Nature. Okay? This is probably 20,000 years of selective breeding by survival of the fittest. Okay, this is a wolf. Once again, you can see that it probably does not have classic, what we call show type conformation. Coyote. Wolf. Now, these are some dogs that were bred, I believe, in Germany for hunting. And what I'd like to do now is just run through some different dogs and their comparing the working type with the conformation type. And, for a long time, when I first got in, I think the more novice the breeder, the less open they are to these kind of ideas. They're just really dogmatic about, you got to have that shoulder. The type of dogs. I used to think when I would go to a herding event or see what was a working dog, I thought that the working dog breeders were just stupid. I thought, how could they breed such ugly dogs? And, my mind was just closed. And as I've come to learn more and more about the two different worlds, and to learn that the working dog breeders are just as organized, they're just as academic, they're just as studied, they're just as committed to breeding a good dog as a show type breeder. They just have different priorities. And what they do is they put the horse first before the cart. They breed the dogs that do the job best. So this is a Saluki. I got this off the internet. That's Champion Saluki, hunting Saluki.